Welcome to the Weekly Spark from Ignite Youth Group out of Eastgate Baptist Church, where we try to keep Christianity on fire in a world that tries to snuff it out. Hello there, gentlemen. Welcome to this week's Weekly Spark. Let's get right into it. We've been talking about several different characters in Proverbs through our major series in Proverbs the last few weeks, and we're still continuing on the fool, and we're talking about the speech of a fool. There is a saying that we have says, "Better to be thought a fool than open your mouth and prove it." Better to be thought a fool than to open your mouth and prove it. And our society knows that fools can be known by their words and how they speak. And many of the references in Proverbs when it talks about fools have to do with their speech. They are not known for good speech. Proverbs 17:7, excellent speech becometh not a fool, much less do lying lips a prince. A fool, excellent speech does not become a fool. A fool is not known for excellent speech, and they do not have good speech. That's why part of the reasons they're a fool. And it is their downfall. A fool's mouth is his destruction, and his lips are the snare of his soul. So it's like the times where you've gotten in trouble for saying something you shouldn't. That's what that proverb is saying, that a fool is going to get himself into trouble. It's going to lead himself to destruction because of the way he talks and what he says. So what is a fool's speech like? Number one, a fool is always talking. Proverbs 10:8, the wise in heart will receive commandments, but a prating shall fall. Proverbs 10:10, he that winketh with the eye causeth sorrow, but a prating fool shall fall. A prating fool shall fall. What does it mean to prate? That means to just be speaking idly about. So a prating fool is someone who speaks all the time, and it's idle chatter. It doesn't edify, and they're just someone who's always talking. Now, the Bible says, in the multitude of words there wanteth not sin. Which that word want means to lack. So in the multitude of words there wanteth not, there lacks no sin. What the Bible is saying is that when someone is just someone who just talks all the time, their sin is right there, because they're going to be gossiping, they're going to be complaining, they're going to start saying all these things that they shouldn't say. And sin is right there. That's why in Proverbs 17:27-28, he that hath knowledge spareth his words, and a man of understanding is of an excellent spirit. Even a fool, when he holdeth his peace, is counted as wise, and he that shutteth his lips is esteemed a man of understanding. The Bible says that a fool is counted wise when he shuts his lips. So don't always be someone who has to feel like you have to talk, you have to say things. Sometimes silence is better. Sometimes it's better to be silent. He that hath knowledge spareth his words. Only use words when you mean something. Now you can joke around or something, but don't be someone who is always talking, because the Bible says that a fool is someone who is always talks. Number two has to do with that. They talk before thinking. They talk before thinking. Proverbs 29:11. A fool uttereth all his mind, but a wise man keepeth in till afterwards. A fool is someone who utters all their minds. They just say whatever is on their mind, which will get them into trouble. Proverbs 29:20, seest thou a man that is hasty in his words? There is more hope of a fool than of him. There is more hope for a fool than someone who is hasty in their words. And that's very foolish, to be hasty in those words and to fool uttereth all his mind, because you don't always understand the damage until it comes out what your words can do. And a fool just talks. So there's someone who are always talking and they don't think about what they're saying, which leads to a lot of issues. That's why we need to make sure that when we want to say something, we think about it before we say it. Is this godly? Is this edifying? Is this something that would please God? Because if not, it's going to lead to destruction, and it's going to hurt us. And sometimes there's things that just need to be left unsaid. Because it'd be better for it to be left unsaid than for you to sin by saying it. People say, I want to give this person a piece of my mind. You shouldn't do that. You shouldn't always feel like you have to give someone a piece of your mind. A fool uttereth all of his mind. So a fool is someone who does that. So a fool's speech is always talking. They talk before thinking, and then it's sinful. Number 3, sinful speech. It's contentious. Proverbs 18:6. A fool's lip enter into contention. So a fool's lip will lead to strife, will lead to um, anger, will lead to contention, to fighting, because they don't think about what they're saying. They're going to say something stupid, and someone's going to get mad, and it's just going to be this contention. And it's Proverbs 19:1. Better is the poor that walketh in his integrity than he that is perverse in his lips and is fool. He that is perverse in his lips, saying things you shouldn't, using profanity, saying dirty jokes, doing all these different things that do not glorify God. A fool does that. That's part of a fool's speech. We really need to look at our speech and make sure that it's right with the Lord. So we shouldn't always be talking. We need to make sure we think before we talk. Bible talk, and James talks about let everyone be quick to hear, slow to speak, slow to wrath. Slow to speak. So we make sure we're quick to hear, but we're slow to speak. We think about what we say before we say it. And number 3, we need to make sure our speech is not sinful, so it's not causing contention and it's not perverse. There's a lot of talks about the tongue, and a tongue is that, like I said before, better to be thought a fool than open your mouth and prove it. When someone comes out and starts using dirty jokes and profanity, and they're always talking and they don't think about what they say, they're showing themselves to be a fool, no matter how wise they seem to be. So, gentlemen, let's make sure that our speech is glorifying to God, that we're not always talking, that we think before we talk, and that we're not using sinful speech that causes fights or is perverse. And when we do that, we can show glory to the Lord, and we can be wiser in our speech. So that's our challenge this week, is to not have the mouth of a fool. So, gentlemen, just know I'm praying for you and looking forward to seeing you next week. Bye.